Alright, I've pulled 6 deck lists I wanted to talk about coming out of London and kind of just walk through these. So the first one, 812 Bubble, Ruben Vincenti. Of course, this came from Lithium. A good chunk of these came from Lithium. So, Dino Shuttles are this deck that kind of sits on the back burner and gets a lot of flack from a lot of the community. The problem with this deck is it's very, very fragile. And while you might be looking at this going, oh no, this looks really good. So you have to understand, if you set up Ultimate Conductor is one of the easiest boss monsters to out, in Sky Striker, honestly, because you can just Book of Moon everything and then just run over everything in OTK. This deck is really good at that. But outside of that, like, okay, so like, yes, you can lock up you can lock up a Sky Striker player with this. You can, control the board with this. But really, I think this deck's biggest issues are just its consistency. And it's really weird to say that, because, like, looking at this on paper, it looks good. But, I don't know. Dino still has its issues. But, shout out to Extrav. Dinosaurs, ever since, what was it, a couple months back, we saw the first Extrav dinosaur list. And a lot of players were like, oh, why are we going towards Extrav? Yes. Because, okay, so, like, you care about your extra deck about as much as you really care about anything else. Like, this card is good, but, like, the extra 2 cards that it grants you, it's not like you do additional drawing after you activate this, you know what I mean? So that's definitely something. Also, Shadal Fusion is amazing. Being able to control, so, like, if you can get Conductor plus Winda established, and oh yeah, you're gonna win the game almost guaranteed, but, like, what if you can't get to that point? So there's a reason why this is the tech engine, and I do like what Mr. Rubin was going for here in terms of control, in terms of the diversity for really the build in the OTK factor is great. Like, also the fact that we have control cards built into this deck looks really good on paper. So congrats, Mr. Rubin, for doing well with this. Nothing else sticks out too much to me here. Now, Magical Musketeers. Oh, this, I was so happy to see this. Joshua Doster ended up going 9-2, bubbling out, and it feels so bad because this deck is so good at what it does. So you have to understand, while Magical Musketeers have a very good consistent engine in the form of Musketeer Max, you also need to have the double or nothing for the OTK factor. The reason why this deck is able to keep up in these formats is because 2 level 4s go together, and then you go, choop, 10,000 damage over something. I get it. A lot of players don't like that, but you have to understand that's kind of what you have to do. Also, kind of nice to see the one Calamity. What was it? Some builds weren't even playing this, but it is, hello, like level 4. Also, seeing Phantasme in this deck feels a little bit better. I know there are a lot of people who are kind of against Phantasme a little bit. Phantasme is in a really weird position right now. I don't know if people just don't like the card or what, but Phantasme, he fixes a lot of your bricks. Like, getting to draw 2 cards, put back a musket that you have, like, doubles of, seems really good to me. So, outside of that, this looks very standard for what you're going for. I don't see any issues with this. The only reason why we're not going, like, through the formal deck profiles and, like, smashing through things, there's just a lot of information right now. Okay. Now, Grandma Anjou, oh man, I'm not gonna lie, guys. So this is Enzo Duval's list, and I'm not a big fan of this deck. I think for the most part that this deck is really weird, but he's playing Cyber Dragons in this deck. Okay, so think about it this way. So Cyber Dragon does 2 things. One, it allows you to eat off of your opponent's monsters if they're playing Cyber Dragons. It also puts another 2100 body on the field. So what if you're short a little bit of damage? Well, you got a 2100 beater here that you can just attack over with things and pressure the opponent. It's another large body that you're able to do things with. Also, if your opponent's got a Sky Striker established, go ahead and you can upgrade this into a 2400 beat stick. Like, this was really good. Now, of course, we're using the standard danger package, including Ogopogos, to kind of turbo through the deck more. Because, we want to banish, we want to, see Grand Manjus. We want to do what our deck wants to do, which is actually, truthfully, set Grand Manju, let our opponent run into it, but it's not actually how it works. But I can tell, having looked at this guy hates Cyber Dragon, and he hates Orcust so much, because we're playing the system downs. Also, shout out to him for actually bringing in the Hate Trunades. This card is actually really nuts. I'm actually very happy to see this as a tech choice. Also, seeing the danger zones, seeing more play now for Enzo's list also is really good. I honestly think Enzo did fantastic with this. This is some revolutionary stuff right here. You guys might be looking at this, you might be like, oh, but why though? No, this deck looks very good. Alright, so we have, yes, Herman Hansen's list. So top 16, Herman Hansen playing 47 cards. And my boy here, I feel like loses every game to Nibiru, but I just might be an uncultured swine and not understand this deck. So, Starliege Seyfried. So this is the new card that kind of made this deck go around. So you can send any number of Dragon-type monsters from your hand or face up from the field of the graveyard to add one Dragon monster from your deck to your hand, whose level equals the total original level of those monsters sent to the graveyard. Then you can banish this card from your graveyard and then target one level 8 light or dark Dragon monster graveyard. Add it to your hand. This card is so good. Now, one thing you have to understand about this deck, we are a World Chalice card. We are the Ib Turbo. We revolve around this card, we combo, and we go. We rip cards from our opponent's hand, we Hope Harbinger, we set up Appaloosa, we make sure that we can function and play the game, and make sure that life doesn't hurt us so bad. Also, you know, we make Thunderboards and things like that. Seeing an extensive combo deck like this exist in the format feels kind of right. And considering the fact that one Rocky Boy changed the landscape of the format forever because of his existence, kind of did push combo decks like this back into the corner. So it is kind of nice to see this. I do think, quite honestly, looking at this deck, it does look very consistent for what this deck is aiming to do in today's format. So yes, buckle up, kids. You have a World Chalice combo deck, or Ib Turbo, just kind of sitting here getting the chance to do stuff again. Feels great. Ah, man, the top 4 Infernoid list. So, top 4 was piloted by Tom Kleinengarber. So, I want to say a couple things about this. You can trip a monster, target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it. This is a quick effect. Hi, Orchist! How are you? I heard that you actually just started moving in next door. I see that you started putting things on my property, sir. I'm going to have to start removing those. All those Orchist, all those little annoyances that you're putting in there, I'm going to start banishing those. By the way, I'm going to use your resource pool to do it because this is hilarious. Show me where the Orchist hurt you, because Infernoid, congratulations, you're now the deck that like shows up and is going to bully these poor Orchist players into submission. And like Imagination Station, Vanishment, and face, like this man wasn't losing. All right, like I'm looking at this list, I'm like, oh yeah, I get why this did good. Absolutely. Triple Monster Gate, by the way. You establish and you go. Like, mill as much as you can, set up the resource pool, you're good to go. It's Infernoids. And I mean, okay, worst case scenario here, guys. Let's be honest here. Your opponent can only put so many Orchis cards in the graveyard. And if they're hard, if your opponent is hard summoning Dingrisus to out your your guys that are removing from their graveyard, you probably already won the game. So, congratulations to anti-meta. Meta? I would definitely consider this deck to be anti-meta because it controls the opponent's graveyard. Like, what do you care? Like, and it feels good to see this deck back. Trust me. Oh, so good. And last but not least, this was the Marincess list that ended up bubbling. This was posted by Team Paradigm. And I wanted to go ahead and just kind of post this because I saw that this was playing White Stingray. So you can special summon this card from your hand by discarding one water monster. Then if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, treat it as a tuner. I mean, we don't really care about that, but discard a water to summon this. Hey, remember all those times where you're like, oh, I dead drew the Roman Totem? You can go ahead and extend with this. So, one thing you have to understand, unfortunately, Marincess is a very fragile deck, and it's so fragile to the point that it's kind of sad, but like, Scythe does make things a little bit better. So, like, in a world where you can, like, set up Boss Monster Kun with the Ocean, you're kind of good to go. Also, only seeing one Battle Ocean feels really weird to me, especially when you're playing Desires, but like I get it. You're supposed to be able to search this before anything goes, but like this is probably the most fragile part of the deck right here is the Battle Ocean. Everything else is kind of an extender to kind of set up for this deck. And I don't know, I'm not disappointed to see how this deck did, but the deck is still very fragile in today's format. So congratulations to seeing some day 2 Marincess out here. In terms of numbers and ratios, Dupe Frog just feels real bad, but it's another frog name. So like, also, you know, White Stingray is another extender, something that this deck kind of needed. So outside of that, yeah, like I said, there's a couple lists I'll go more in depth with, but this is like the big chunk 6, so we're going with it. So guys, what do you think about these decks? Please, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Well, I'm out, guys. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a Truffle Shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out VanCole40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.